Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is Chris, and welcome back to once again another episode of Madden Maniac Previews. How's everyone doing today? We are moving on here. I'm doing back-to-back episode filming right now, because it is going to be so long between, and I mean so long as in 2 days, but there's a lot that can happen in 2 days. And since it's a little while before this goes up between when I record it and when it should be published. If I miss anything in this video that happens, it will be in the description below. I'll add an extra commentary if need be. Again, that's if by 3 p.m. on Friday there is something big that happens and I just forget about it. I'm not able to mention it in this video because it hasn't happened yet. Alright? I can give you, at best right now, what has happened for these two teams as of Wednesday night, and that is that of course does not include all the Thursday games that are ahead for the backups, really. But who knows? All right, let's get right into this. So these are the two teams. First of all, these two teams will be playing each other this year in Mexico. Former Missouri rivals before, of course, the St. Louis Rams became the Los Angeles Rams. And I think it's now, I've now reached the point where I can definitely say that it is weird to say St. Louis Rams now. Where I'm now more used to, oh, I didn't go. Much more used to calling them the I'm much more used now to calling them the Los Angeles Rams because they've been around now for 3 years now. 3 straight years of being in Los Angeles. Hopefully it only goes up from here, right? Only gets better. Alright, let's get into this mess. As we kick off here. Oh, I love the retro. I forgot that that's the normal uniform that they're going for this year. So freaking cool. You got that with the Chiefs as well. I like the Chiefs Rams combo here. That won't be the uniform combo, unfortunately, during Mexico City game, but whatever, doesn't matter. All right, let's talk Kansas City. So Andy Reid is what right now what it feels like. I think that, as far as I understand about the Andy Reid era, that he basically always had Alex Smith, or almost always had Alex Smith as his quarterback. So one of the first times under Andy Reid that Patrick Mahomes is going to be, that a new quarterback is going to be under his reigns, and Patrick Mahomes is going to be that guy. Now Patrick is he is the guy that throws these beautiful deep balls, and he's been like that since Texas Tech. And there's just something, the way that he throws the football, that is very you're very enamored by what you are seeing with him. And but I do think that there's going to be some early rookie struggles with him. But the good news is that he has a lot of talent surrounding him. First, you have the second-year running back now, Kareem Hunt, who had an up and down year overall. I mean, he still ended up with the rushing championship title, I guess, if you want to call it that, the rushing yard champ. But he is he should have another good year. I hopefully he kind of comes back. Like he had like a really great start to the year. Then he kind of had a dip off, and then he kind of came back. The hope will be that he ends up completely rebounding and just sailing right into and just being a major factor in all the games going forward. Especially since they got rid of like a bunch of the backups, Jacandrick West being notable in the terms of the running backs of the Chiefs. They still have Spencer Ware. He will remain the backup. Damian Williams is also there. He probably will end up being cut. Who knows? We'll see. But that's the situation right now. Hunt, and I think that at his best, he is a very, very good player, and it deserves the recognition that he has thus far. And I think that a lot of people are not talking about him because of his like up and down year, but he did have the most rushing yards last year. So if he could do that again under the second year, we'll see. There's also the chance of a second year slump, but maybe he already experienced that mid-season last year. Maybe that was his slump, and now he's just gonna be all in from here on out. But then you have the receivers around Patrick Mahomes, and that's gonna be even more fun to watch because you got Tyreek Hill, the most dynamic, just completely book it down the field receiver. Absolutely can dodge anyone as a return specialist, but also has grown into being a very good receiver for the team. Now you also have Sammy Watkins, who also kind of brings the same thing, although he adds a little bit of a height difference there. I think that he will be able to kind of moss some people. We'll see. They also have Chris Conley returning, who I thought was a big factor for them last year before he got injured. I think that kind of was the game that spurred the Chiefs into a tailspin, and so it was the Texans win, and that was their last win of their winning streak, and then they lost to the Steelers, and it just blew up for them. But that, or at least for their mid-season stretch. But I do like Chris Conley. I think he's gonna be a very important factor. So that's a good receiving group, and then you factor that with Travis Kelce, who's been the perennial Pro Bowler. The guy that's just always in the conversation as one of the best tight ends in the league. For sure, at least the top two in the AFC. I think we know that Rob Gronkowski might be number one. Might being an understatement. So I really like the offense there, and then you have the offensive line where they're still relying on Eric Fisher, and he's still he's shown he's had good games, but then there's been times that I don't know. I question his play sometimes. I think he gives up way too many penalties at times. It's just, but he's still being very relied on. Mitchell Schwartz I really like at right tackle. Now Cameron Irving's gonna be starting at left guard. Got the Doctor, Laurent Duvernay Tardif, and Mitch Morris is gonna be the center. I mean, it's a good group. I think it's gonna. It's certainly not it's at the level where it was last year. Hasn't really improved a ton. But that last year's offensive line wasn't terrible, and I think that they were able to create a lot of good situations for Alex Smith while he was there, and was able to create holes for Kareem Hunt. So I think that top to bottom, this offense, as long as people stay healthy, of course, should function well, should do well. They do have a new offensive coordinator in Eric Bieniemy. He was the running backs coach, I believe, and now he got promoted. So obviously that's gonna be a factor. But Andy Reid, he's always been someone that is known for being very offensive centered, very good at developing players on the offense, and will definitely have a say in what happens with Patrick Mahomes and what happens with this unit going forward. I think it's a good unit, and I think that's what's going to be the strength of this team, because I think, unfortunately, the downside is their other side of the football right now, and that the defense is not where it should be. It was not where it was even at the end of last year. And they traded Marcus Peters this offseason, which I don't know if I 100% agreed with. I'm sure there was frustrations with him and his character that they weren't too sure about, but if it wasn't absolutely toxic and the situation could have figured itself out, I think that the Chiefs are going to look back at it and think that was not the smartest move that they can make. I don't agree with it. I really think that they could have kept him around. going forward. Here's your secondary right now. Now, Eric Berry has been out. I don't know if I think he might be dealing with injury, but he's your best player on the team right now. There's also Kendall Fuller, who did very well as a cornerback with the Washington. Was Pro Football Focus had him ranked #1 at his position as a slot corner, at least. So I think that that's a good addition for them. But then the depth at the other positions, you have Steven Nelson, Daniel Sorensen, right now the starters at left cornerback and free safety, respectively. They have David Amerson that they brought on, Orlando Scandrick. You know, and Scandrick might move up, but he's going to certainly be a veteran presence for the team. But the secondary I'm very confused about, and it would look a ton better right now if they kept Marcus Peters around. There hasn't really been a lot of horror stories with him. I know, like, I understand that on the field his behavior is ridiculous, especially the Jets game. I get it. That's frustrating. I've been frustrated with players in the past that act a certain way, they act ridiculous on the field, and it gets them penalties, and there's that frustration is annoying. But I just don't see how he could have been such a locker room cancer that you're going to trade an all-pro corner to the Rams, and now they're going to make him a franchise guy. I mean, if his personality is as big as, is as big as it seems that at least the Chiefs made it seem, then I don't know how he's going to succeed in the league. But they literally gave up on him after his third year, but after so many good years, and maybe there's only 1 or 2 incidents I can think of with him. Like, I just find the whole situation weird. You look at the front 7 too with this team, and there is not a definitive player outside of maybe Anthony Hitchens, who had a pretty good career with Dallas, that I could say to be 100% confident in, including Justin Houston, who, yes, he has at times defied his age and has played relatively well, but the defensive line, Chris Jones, Xavier Williamson, Alan Bailey, that's just not a good-looking group. And Reggie Ragland, who has not shown that he was not a good draft pick for Buffalo, and he's not really shown a lot in with the Chiefs. Dee Ford plays pretty well. That linebacking group is not the worst, but it certainly is not the most, it's not the depth. The depth, I think, is what I'm most concerned about with the defense. There's just not a ton of players that really stand out in this unit's gonna be a shutdown unit. This is gonna be a shutdown player. All these guys have question marks, whether it's injury or age. All of them are. There's just so much hanging over their heads that I'm just don't really know what the future, or what, at least what for this season, if this unit is going to be able to achieve anything and is going to help the offense out. Because you're not in an offensive heavy division, but you're in an offensive heavy conference for sure. And I think that the Chargers are going to be very difficult to deal with if you don't have a solid defense. I think that the team, you do have to face the Steelers and the Killer Bees again. Which they don't have a good history of facing that team, unfortunately. The Ravens have revamped their offense as well. I mean, the Raiders have John Gruden, who's been analyzing quarterbacks and offense for years, even after his coaching reign ended with his ESPN time. So this is the problem right now. I think this is going to be the downfall of the team if they can't get someone else in there that can really make this team stand out. Right now, it's a lot of average players. I think with the sole exception being Eric Berry. But again, he's dealing with injury, and we don't even know where he's at right now. Um, I'm hoping that he's back for week 1. That would be nice. And I think that'll definitely help the secondary. But you don't have a solid cornerback. Kendall Fuller, again, I liked him, but I liked him more as a slot corner. I don't think he's like a starting right corner or anything like that for the team. And again, like I think Anthony Hitchens is a good signing, but again, he played very well for the team, but he was never like an all-pro. He wasn't really like amazing for them either, you know. So there's too many questions for this team right now, and that's why there is so much talk of the Chiefs. Not a lot of talk of the Chiefs winning this year, because under Patrick Mahomes, we've only seen one game with him. He played pretty well in that game, but there was also a lot of, you know, questionable decisions with the ball. We have to see a full year of this guy. We need to see if he truly is the quarterback of the future. Again, he has beautiful, beautiful passes that he throws, but we need to see how he handles it when it's a game where everything is on the line. Not that the Broncos were just playing for pride that day, and the Chiefs were just trying to get out of there without having any major injuries. You have to go into the next game, which is against the Chargers, of course, and be prepared to take on some really tough units that are looking to knock off the Kings. This team has won 2 years in a row, the division, and they've yet to win a playoff game. And in a way, while their offense looks like it's going to be the same or even better, it's like the defense is going to be worse, and then you have a rookie, like kind of what feels like going to be a rookie quarterback, you know, leading the charge. So, a lot of questions hanging in the air with Kansas City, but not going to say that they're not going to be fascinating watching. I'm sure with Andy Reid in charge that they're going to be a factor. I would be very surprised if they are not over or at least at 500 this year. I'd be very surprised, because I still think that regardless of me shitting on the defense, that I just have too much confidence in Reid and what he does, outside of the playoffs, of course. The way that he preps his teams, he coaches his teams, he just has such an ability to get every single player ready to just go after the opponent. And especially on the offensive side of the ball, he's been able to really make things happen regardless of the talent that's there. So I just have too much confidence in the Chiefs going forward, to not count them out of a rough situation. But there is reason for doubt, and there's reason to think that this team is not going to just, you know, make it to the AFC West championship, AFC West division title with like no struggles whatsoever. You have a tough team with the Chiefs. This is, or with the Chargers rather. This is a team a little bit in a rebuild, I think, too. Because they are trying to figure out what the team is going to look like under Patrick Mahomes, and then they're going to use that information to build the right roster around him. So there is a little bit of a rebuild happening. Even though the offense right now, it looks complete, but there is still some experimenting. Like, Sammy Watkins, like, we don't know for sure if he's going to be a huge factor for this team and that he's going to play well for the team. We don't know that yet. They need to see him actually go out there and perform for them. You know? And maybe he'll grow to be a great player for them. Regardless, it's going to be very, very important to see how this year transpires, because I do think that this team is looking towards the future, not necessarily the present. They will try to win the division, and I think that they'll get close, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But we will see when it comes to that. Trying to think of what else I want to talk about when it comes to the Chiefs. Very much think that they don't have a ridiculously tough slate of games. And I think that's why my hope is still high, because they face the NFC West, which has the Rams. We obviously know what's happening there. And it has this, and then you face the AFC North, which has the Steelers and the Ravens. But it's not that out of the question where those guys, that the Chiefs can't win against those guys. It's just gonna be obviously their toughest opponents. And the other guys that the Chiefs have a good chance against, and I think Andy Reid has shown that he can win against any opponent, regardless of the talent on either side of the ball, or on either team. And you have a division where the Chargers, well, I think they're the runaway favorite, certainly have made mistakes in the past few years that have caused them to miss the playoffs and to lose ridiculously close games. That's going to be what's going to... Yeah, that's what needs to go the Chargers' way this year, is that they need to win those close games. And the Chiefs are a perfect team to take advantage of those struggles and use it against the Chargers and beat them in games that they should win. They should win next week. The Chargers should win. But will they? It's been questionable. So, I mean, there's a reason why I'm optimistic about a lot of these teams, and why I criticize them, but I also try to put it on a nice spin, because I do think that right now, going into 2018, there's a lot of teams that have a ton of optimism behind it, and I even the Bills last episode, I do think that the Bills can have a good future, but they need to acknowledge what they're doing is the main thing, you know. And so with Kansas City, I mean, this team is coming off a divisional championship. Doesn't mean that they can't do it again. I have my doubts, but they've been able to take away a division that seems to be another way before. They can do it again. They can do it a few times. So, let's see how that works out for them. Wow, that is... My God, Jared Goff is so calm. You see that? He's just standing still, as just waiting, just not moving, not going anywhere, just standing, just enjoying his view. And, of course, he still misses the pass, so it's just, alright, whatever. Just still does not work out. Oh, man. Let's talk about our question. Who's more likely to make the playoffs, Chiefs or Rams? I've been talking a lot about the NFC team making the playoffs over the AFC team, and this is an easy one for me. I think the Rams... Oh boy, I'm excited to talk about them. I want to throw in criticism for some things, though, so hopefully I'll find that criticism today. Way I usually do these things is I put the roster in front of me. I try to remember from what I've watched of them, you know, what my feelings about the players are, and then, you know, and just kind of, because I like doing it on a whim and not planning it out ahead of time, because I think it's my rawest... I'm at my rawest, opinion, and so I don't really care if my opinion's shitty. It's just what I'm thinking out of the top of my head. So, let's look at the Rams roster, shall we? And so, the Los Angeles Rams ended last season losing mightily to the Falcons. I should say mightily. It wasn't like the Titans losing to the Patriots, but it was a rough loss. It was the most lopsided loss of the wild card weekend, this past year, and it was kind of stunning because, in a way, the Falcons have been good. They were the reigning NFC champions at the time, and so there was no doubt in the mind that you know that they couldn't do what they have been doing, which is winning really important games and kicking ass. But with this Rams team, there's just so much optimism because of Todd Gurley and the offense and how good they've been doing, and it's like how Sean McVay turned this team from the least scoring team from 2016 to the most scoring team from this year. Like it's incredible, and it was just a shame to see them lose. But this year, this offseason, this might be the most improved team in the NFC or in the NFL rather. And this was an 11-5 team last year. So the fact that they improved a lot is kind of cray. And they improved in the right way. So let's talk about that. We'll talk offense first. So what is going to come back from last year? Well, you have Jared Goff, who I think he still has a lot to prove to me. I still think that he is a product of the system. He is someone that is should be very grateful to have a lot of talent around him. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have good football ahead of him. And he had a great year last year. But I would like to see him make more plays on his own. And like I would like to see some amazing throws out of him. I feel like I have not seen a truly like amazing amazing play from him, if it like not just relying on like a huge name or a weapon of sorts. So I'm a little skeptical on Goff, but I think that he's been very good under Sean McVay's system. Now, then of course Todd Gurley. I don't need to talk about Todd Gurley, but you know him. He is right now. He was the offensive player of the year last year. And he had such a great rebound from 2016. That year was awful for everyone, obviously. But he is showing to be the face of this team. And Los Angeles hopefully has already fallen in love with him. And so he's going to be the guy that you can't lose Todd Gurley. You need to have him for the rest of the season because he's going to be important for this game, because his backup is Malcolm Brown. You don't want to go to Malcolm Brown. Just saying. And then you have the receiving corps. That is ridiculous. So let me tell you who the backups are first. Pharoh Cooper, Josh Reynolds, Mike Thomas. I'm not too sure about Mike Thomas, but Josh Reynolds and Pharoh Cooper have both shown that they can play. Pharoh Cooper has been a main factor in the special teams as a returner. Josh Reynolds, when he's out on the field, he has the ability to beat quarterbacks by jumping up and getting the ball, the moss, as I've talked about earlier. But I talk about them because it just shows how deep this group is, because I love Cooper Kupp from last year. Showed that he could be a great player for the team. Robert Woods, out of nowhere, has a spectacular season with this team. And then they trade for Brandon Cooks. And this is what's going to be insane. What he did for New England last year, they added a deep threat in Brandon Cooks. And that made Tom Brady's job a lot easier, you know? And Tom Brady is great. He is absolutely the greatest quarterback of all time. But that doesn't mean that he can't benefit from having a few good wide receivers. And Brandon Cooks is that guy. And he did that for them all last year. And then now he's come over to the Rams. And the Patriots may regret giving him up. This is going to be such a great addition to this team. He is going to be better than Sammy Watkins was last year. Sammy Watkins really filled that role last year. He's going to be better. Absolutely, hands down, will be a much better addition. And it's going to be so much fun to watch in this offense with Sean McVay. How about that? By the way, should just take a moment here, take a step back. Sean McVay, I've been confident about that guy since the minute he opened his fucking mouth during the press conference last year And I did not think he was going to turn it around in 1 year, and he did. And now he's just getting started, and he's going to get better. I think he's going to be one of the greatest coaches of all time. I don't know if he'll get to the point that Belichick and all them are at, but I am riding the Sean McVay train till it's burnt and down to the ground. I will die on this hill that Sean McVay will be a legend when it's all said and done. Love him. Now, I think their weak point right now is the tight end position. Tyler Higbee is right now the starter, which he had a pretty good year. You had Gerald Everett, who is their second round pick. He hasn't really shown a lot, but could definitely be a factor. But I do think that they need to see. I need to see more of those tight ends to really think that they are good at that position. That it's going to be important for them. That it's going to be a factor for them going forward. So we'll see. Then you have the offensive line. I believe it was John Sullivan who was just, or no, I'm sorry. I think it was Jamon Brown that was just suspended. So they're gonna have to rely on Jake Elderkamp, and I'm gonna double check that. I'm pretty sure Jamon Brown was the one that was suspended. But that's gonna be a big concern for the offensive line going out. Yes, so 2 games for violating NFL substance abuse. So that's gonna be a little bit of a blow for them, but not really, because you do have Andrew Whitworth. You still have Roger Saffold. You have John Sullivan at center, who played very well. All those guys have played very well last year. Rob Havenstein at right tackle should be okay. I like the offensive line. I think it could get better, but there's nothing that, like, Andrew Whitworth is the guy. Like, he's going to be the guy that's going to anchor that team. He's going to protect Jared Goff the most. And I think the rest of the players have kind of improved with him being there. So I think that they could still maybe make improvements to the offensive line, especially with one suspended. But this is not a bad deal for this team as it stands right now. Okay, that's the offense. I don't think there's really much else to talk about there. And yeah, I'm just looking on the charts real quick. I really don't think there's anything more with this team. Let's go to the defense. Led, of course. I feel like this team has 2 head coaches. Like it's Sean McVay, like he coaches the offense, and Wade Phillips is the head coach of the defense. So I'm gonna just say that Wade Phillips, this is his team right now. This is his defense. This is his team. And here's the big thing. Here's the big deal right now with this franchise and their defensive system at the moment. They can really kick ass this year. This could be a Super Bowl team easily. But they need to sign Aaron Donald. And it sounds like they're getting close. Probably by the time this video goes up, Aaron Donald would be signed. And I hope that's the case. It sounds like they're a lot closer than Khalil Mack is with the Raiders. So I think that's ultimately a good thing. I think that's going to end up getting done. But if it doesn't, there's a problem, and the Rams are going to pay for it. Aaron Donald is the Defensive Player of the Year and is one of the most important defensive players in the league right now. And if you can't have him on the field week 1, you're going to have problems winning anything this year, or at least winning like the championship. So let's hope that he gets there. But in the meantime, this defense has improved. They do have Sue there at defensive tackle that they added via free agency. Michael Brockers, who has time and again shown that even though he hasn't been a Pro Bowler, he is a constant factor on the line. So I like him a lot. Then you have, I think the next strength of this team is the secondary. You have the return of LaMarcus Joyner, of course, but in addition to that, you have Marcus Peters, who we were talking about earlier now with the Rams, I think that's an amazing addition, and I think that it'll serve them well. I may bite my tongue later, but I truly think it will. And they added Aqib Talib, two guys that may be considered problem childs in their respective teams beforehand. I think that they kind of come together, and I think under Wade Phillips, they're gonna have a really good time, and they're gonna really ball out. They're gonna be one of the great cornerback tandems in the league, if not the best. And LaMarcus Joyner, who I really love at free safety, they did not sign him to an extension, I don't think, but they did franchise tag him. But even the depth at the cornerback, like Sam Shields is a really good fucking player, and he's a backup. But he's good, and I think that he's going to be used a lot. Nickel Robbie Coleman has been on the team for a while, but he's been a factor before. I really like the way that he plays the game as well. So that's the two strengths of this team. And especially with Aaron Donald back, that's going to be one hell of a unit. My problem, though, is going to be the linebacking position. I think they can rely on Corey Littleton, who I think is going to be the front of this, including and Mark Barron. Those guys are going to be probably the forefront of it, the two middle linebackers. But right now, on the outside, they have Samson Abukem and Matt Longacre. It's part of the fun of this is going to be looking back at my pronunciation of these names and being like, what the fuck? Does he even know who these people are? Truth is, I don't really. Those two, I'm not even too familiar with them, but I know Corey Littleton, he's done pretty well with the team. He's kind of grown into that position, and Mark Barron has been on the team for a while. Will be a factor. I'm not like too high on this linebacking core, and I would be very just concerned overall about the depth here and what happens. And they've had problems with they haven't really had too many problems with linebacker because they had Alec Ogletree, but since they traded him away, that's gonna hurt them a little bit. But Alec Ogletree, he's very good at going after people and tackling them, but he was not great in coverage. Maybe they'll have that now with the linebackers they have in the middle now. Again, I'm not too skeptical. I'm a little skeptical about that. Plus, Alec Ogletree didn't really fit the system either, so that kind of ended up working out for them. And my God, what a run! What a run down the sidelines there. All right, well, that's that. But yeah, so I very much, I don't know. I think that the Rams should be the NFC West favorite by a landslide. I really think if this team remains healthy, they should win this fucking division. They should make it deep in the playoffs. This is a talented team, and it would be so great to see this team win the Super Bowl as it stands right now, because there's so much talent there. And it's under a great head coach, and it's under a great defensive coordinator. Like, these are historically great players and coaches. You can't let this opportunity die. You can't let this go down. Even the special teams. Look at the fucking special teams. Johnny Hecker is one of the greatest punters out there right now. If not, he's the best. You have Greg Zuerlein, who kicks ass at the kicking position. This is a great team. I love them. And I really, there's, obviously, I have my concerns, about little things overall. This team is too loaded to not make an impact on this 2018 season. If they fall apart, there is a serious issue, and something has to be fixed. This is too good of a team to pass up. To just throw away. And so this season should be the season of the Rams. I'm picking them right now as my favorite to win the Super Bowl in the NFC, or win the NFC Championship. I think that they have the most likely shot outside of maybe like the Eagles. All right, but I think this team could beat the Vikings. I mean, the Vikings are such a deep team. They're such a good team. But I really love what the Rams are doing right now. I think the way that they're scheming everything, and Sean McVay just has this beautiful way of and I've been saying this whole preview, using the players that are provided and making them work together. They're making them work. Regardless, it doesn't matter. McVay is part of this generation of coaches that is focusing on, instead of focusing on doing it my way, I'm going to do it to what's going to work best for this team and what I have in front of me. And that thinking has been around with Belichick, but it's really going to be a huge factor going forward with young coaches like McVay, like Shanahan, and there's plenty of others out there who adjust. And that's the biggest, if there's anything that is so important to overarchingly say about any fucking NFL team out there, it's adjusting. You have to adjust to any situation and any roster that you have. Whatever situation you get yourself into, you have to learn to adapt to what's happening and do what you think is best at that moment, not what you think has been the best thing that you've done in the past. Forget about the past, you're in the present. Do what you think is going to be good in the present. Boom. I'm just rambling, but I'm just saying, that's why I think that I'm so excited about Sean McVay being a head coach, because I think that he perfectly represents that, and he should, and he should do well. So I don't know. It would actually infuriate me if this team is not successful this year. It would. I you know me, I'm a fan of chaos. I'm a Team Chaos guy through and through, and I think that if the Rams fall apart, I guess that would fall under the Team Chaos mantra. Everyone expected the Rams to do really, really well, and they ended up falling apart. Okay, but for this exception, can we make an exception for a team that has been to the playoffs for the first time last year since 2004? And that they haven't been a very successful team. They've been through a lot of shit. Jeff Fisher being that shit, really. Can we at least make an exception for that team? It wouldn't be. I won't call them a Team Chaos, because they again, everyone expects them to do really, really well this year. But let me root for them. Please. No. I'm excited for a franchise that's turning around. I think it's important. Think of it like this as well. This is a franchise, and we talked about this with the Chargers. They're trying to win over a fan base that they haven't had in years. Now, the Rams probably have more Los Angeles fans right now than the Chargers because, well, the Chargers were only there for 1 year, while the Rams were there for many years prior to their move in the 90s. I don't see why this team, if they can... This team needs to be successful in order for Los Angeles to fall in love with them. They need to have an incredible run in order for Los Angeles to be on board with football. And again, Los Angeles is already filled with Raider fans and other fans of other teams. But I assure you that longtime residents of Los Angeles who have been waiting for a team, or heck, even if they haven't been, they just want to watch a fun football team, and they can say for sure, "Oh my God, this could be the best team in the league," and they're from my hometown in Los Angeles. They will rep that. Come on, Los Angeles is one of the great sports towns right now. I would see why they wouldn't jump on board with that. If this team, especially if they make it to the Super Bowl, so what they do this year is going to and years going forward too, because they still have to go through. They're going to be changing uniforms, for sure. That's going to be one thing. But they're going to be and I'm talking more on a branding standpoint. They're also opening a new stadium. You know, you have so much that you have to welcome. So you have to welcome so many fans in. You have to say, look, we can be the team that you root for going forward. We can be the franchise that you've been looking for to have success here. We can bring a Super Bowl to Los Angeles. Hell, even if we're lucky, we could end up going to the Super Bowl when it's in Los Angeles a few years from now, and then win the Super Bowl while it's there. Could be. Could. This is such a golden opportunity right now. There's no better time than the present, and that expression cannot be better reflected on any other team than the Rams, because they need to prove right now that they are a fun team, a team that you want to watch every single Sunday, the team that you want to root for, and this is the time to say to Los Angeles, let's do this. Let's come together. Let's go. You know, no more empty Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. You know, we're no longer, no more doing that. You know, let's fill it up like USC. So we'll see how it goes. I think that there's a lot of success ahead, but it has you guys just gotta hope there's no injuries and that there's no other ways of it falling completely apart. Especially if there ends up being like serious issues with the team, like internal issues. Like, I would be so surprised about that, and that would just be upsetting. I hope for the best. I hope you guys don't mind me lauding this Rams team. I'm a Giants fan at heart, but I'm going to hype up teams that I think deserve to be hyped, and this is one of them. This is one team I'm super excited about. I think this is the team I'm most excited about, outside one team from Florida that we have not discussed yet. A team that I don't think is going to be better than the Rams, but I'm just super hyped about them. So, we'll see. You'll see in a few days on that front. So that is, I think that really concludes all my statements. I think I've kind of went on and on about them. I guess I should talk about the schedule too. They face the AFC West, as we've talked about before. That's not a hard division to win games with. The Niners are going to be your toughest opponent in the NFC West, and the Seahawks might give you some trouble as well. But if everything goes as planned, which it usually doesn't, but if it does go as planned, those games are possible to win for this Rams team, and they should be favored to win in them. They're facing the AFC West, and then you're also facing the NFC North. That's going to be a bit difficult. And the Rams-Vikings Thursday Night Football game, I am super stoked about. That's going to be a great game. And the Vikings are going to make me, eat my words, because I just said the Rams are better than the Vikings. That it might be the case by then. I might forget that I said this, and then I'm going to choose the Vikings to win during the prediction podcast, because it just happens that way. But right now, I really, there's so much more hype on this team. I do love the Vikings, though, and I'm excited to talk about the Vikings, because I think adding Kirk Cousins is going to be a huge factor for them going forward. But yeah, the Rams have to face the Vikings, the Packers, potentially. They should beat the Lions and Bears, though. Again, with how loaded this team is, they should be able to beat it. Yeah, but again, I should hold my tongue on the loaded part of view, because it is loaded in some aspects with this Rams team. It's just very talented Because loaded would mean that they have a lot of depth, but the problem with this team is that they don't have a ton of depth. Like Todd Gurley, who's his backup, Malcolm Brown. Is he really gonna do anything that like reflective of Todd Gurley? Wide receiver, I think they're deep at. I addressed that, but then you have Jared Goff, who's his backup, Sean Mannion. He hasn't really shown anything. Offensive line, Andrew Whitworth. His backup is Cornelius Lucas. What? That would be my biggest concern, and I think the linebacking, even in their starters right now, I would have concerns about. So there's reasons to not be excited about the team. Did something just amazing happen while I was looking down at my phone? Did the Chiefs just win this game? I think something just amazing just happened in the game, and I just fucking completely missed it. Well, sorry about that. Should have commentated over it. But I that would be my reasons to be hesitant about them. Hell, they could lose to the Chiefs in Mexico City. Who knows? It's a neutral site. Neither team has been to Mexico City before. Chiefs are more used to playing in that altitude than the Rams are, because the Chiefs go to Denver every year. Boom. I'm finding ways, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic either. There's reasons. There you got scenarios. Ever seen that GIF from Big Brother? I forget the guy's name. He was annoying as shit, but he was just like, he was trying to just explain something that was so nonsensical, and someone was just like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he was just like, "Scenarios, man." But I'm saying, yeah, you never know. So I don't think I've gushed over a team though thus far in these previews quite like the Rams, and I think it's for good reason. I think that they should be an NFC favorite. I might choose a different team come again podcast time. Sometimes I get like my own little different. I have different thoughts come. Like right now, I'm just in the mood to praise the Rams up and down. But as I go through the other previews, and then when I'm breaking down the podcast and what I want to do for predictions and Super Bowl predictions and all that, I might be in a different mental state to be like, well, maybe the Rams could lose to this particular team. I mean, that's good. That's gonna be the next step with this team, is if they could win a playoff game. Can they win, especially at home, or if they have to on the road? I mean, first they have to just win. They have to win a playoff game, hands down. Wild card game, division game, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're hosting or on the road. Win the fucking playoff game. That's the next step for this Rams team. If they can't reach that step, it's a colossal failure. So 19 seconds of the clock. It's 4th and 8, and I would guess they would go for it. Which they are. I'm gonna try to commentate this. I think Goff's gonna be back to pass because it's 19 seconds. Okay, he's back to pass. And the Chiefs could just turn around right now. Okay, whatever. He's throwing it deep. He's trying to catch it, and no, it's batted down, and the game is over. They're gonna extend this game because they have 2 fucking timeouts. I hope not. That'd be annoying. Just end it off, please. Yeah. But yeah, those 2 teams, it mattered. The Battle of Missouri. But yeah, they're gonna fucking use the timeouts. Of course they're gonna. They used to be a big deal now, and now it's not. Now they're not gonna. Now it's a battle just between a city from the Midwest and a team on the West Coast. What would be interesting is when the Chiefs go to, or when the Rams have to go to Kansas City and play in the regular season. That won't happen for another 4 years, but that's gonna be the closest they'll be from the closest they'll be to their old home than they have been in years. My God, can we just? And I could just end it here, but I feel like I want to respect the game and complete the game at least. I guess this is worth talking about. College football is this weekend, and by the time that I upload, I guess I could talk about that real quick. I think that Auburn will take down Washington, even though Washington is the favorite to win the Pac-12, and Auburn, I think, might not be the better team overall. I think Auburn will shock the world a little bit on that front. I think Michigan will also take down Notre Dame. And I'm not predicting, but I'm hoping that Louisville pulls the best upset that we've seen in ages in week 1 and takes down Alabama. That would be amazing, and I'm praying for it. Let's hope that we see someone new fucking get to the championship, please. Ugh. 3 straight years with Alabama. Yeah, they're not the NBA at least, but it's like, god damn, get someone new in there. And if it's another 2 SEC teams again, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. I've ranted about that before, maybe not on video, but what's the point of conferences if you're just gonna have the 2 teams from the same conference be in there? There's no point in conferences at that point. If the conference championship is not gonna matter, why do we have conferences? Makes no sense. Outside of rivalries, we can have those rivalries without the conferences. Don't have conferences. That's my point. Damn it. Sorry, that went into a tangent that had nothing related to either of these teams or the NFL. But I want to rant about it because it's fucking. I'm sick of it. Sick of it. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Be good to one another, be kind to one another, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.